did you get over that, or how are you coping with that?
I had a mixture of coaching and therapy. So therapy is past focused, coaching is future focused.
Okay.
And I met some coaches who helped me to talk about this stuff, but I just I coached myself, I say, but I didn't really. It was just, I talked to myself about a lot of these things and I got it out of me. And then I decided, all right, well, I'm choosing, this is a very insensitive term. I don't use it for anyone else, but for me, I'm choosing to be a bitch about it. And that doesn't mean like crying or complaining. No, it means I'm choosing not to do any different. Like I kept going to these family functions and this tight feeling in my chest and this knot in my stomach and feeling confrontational with people but not being able to like have the honest argument with them. That was giving me a lot of grief. And it was like continuously butting heads with people over stupid ideas that I didn't even want to live by. Like I was raised to be racist. Let's just call it what it is. Black people are apparently inferior. White people are apparently God. Chinese people are not good enough. All of these things. Muslim people, hell no. You better not even think about being friends with them. I was raised with these ideologies. My parents, they didn't really tell me explicitly this is how to believe. The culture as a whole and their like subconscious influences and who they were told by. Like as much as I got respect for everyone who paved the way before me, again, when it comes to tradition, I don't care. You don't judge people based on this or what they believe. I don't care what someone. If you're a nice person, I don't care what religion you are. It doesn't really matter to me. It's got nothing to do with me. But we were raised to believe BMW. You're not allowed to marry black, Muslim, or white.
Wow, is that what it is? Really?
100%, bro. 100%.
Swear
And this is
down.
another thing that Indian people won't talk about. It's a very secretive community, and I'm considered the devil child. I don't mind. I'll take that label all day long, bro, because I don't want these things to be perpetuated.
How people feel if they saw you talking about this now?
Who feel?
That's the community, family.
They don't like it. Every time I bring this stuff up, they don't want to talk about it. Oh, well, yeah, we're more modern now, but, still stay away from certain people. It's very fear-based. This is, again, why the sexual abuse is so common, because this community is very segregated. If you look at the Indian and Pakistani communities, they're very separate from societies that they live in. And now, this is not bad-mouthing them.
No, you're talking your truth.
This is just my experience. And I'm not saying that, like, these people are, like, really evil or anything. I just think it's ignorance.
Do you go back or not?
I'll never go back there again. And, not to the village that I'm from, because, like...
Sorry, to cut you. Were you born here or were you born...
I was born here.
Okay, cool. But you're from...
So there's a village in India that we're from, Phagwara. And I've been there a few times. It's great to get culture shock to make me appreciate living in the West. But, I appreciate living here. I don't think I will go back, because everything I see there reminds me that there's so many problems here that people just choosing to be a part of.
Choosing, I think, is a bit hard.
Really?
Yeah, I think...
We're big boys and girls when we're 25, 30 years old. And it takes a big boy or girl to say, all right, mom, you think you want to disown me because I'm choosing to be with this person I love just because he's not the skin color or whatever that you want. Now you're saying you disown me? All right, cool. That's a big decision to make. Yeah. I'm not saying that you're wrong for not making it, but at the same time, it's a choice.
Yeah.
Now, I have a choice to be a part of that family where they're condoning pedophiles or not to.
How do your family, like your immediate family, your mum and your dad, feel about how you feel now about the family? And are they still in touch with that side of the family?
They would prefer for me to just never talk about it. So I know that there's things I can talk with them about and there's things that they don't want to talk about. And me choosing to have a relationship with them consists of it's on these particular terms. So like there's stuff we can talk about, food, yeah, that's great, movies, whatever. When it comes to that, that's still they're choosing to be a part of that at whatever level it is. It's a lot less involved than it used to be, because when I stopped going and I took my brother out of it too, when we made that decision, they started getting backlash. And when they started getting backlash, my mum was like, I don't want to deal with this shit either. she stopped getting as involved. Then my dad realized, oh, this is what they're really like, because he started getting the backlash. They are old fashioned, which is everyone's excuse for like leave them where they are. I didn't want to make that excuse. I said, you lot are not. Yeah, I'm gonna make you aware of it. The choice is yours. And they don't. They again, like anyone in the older generation who I talk to this stuff about, they don't want to hear it. And that's not my place to convince them. Like, they might not believe it, they might not want to talk about it, I don't know, and I don't really care anymore, bro. It's none of my business.
Do you feel like it's a responsibility now that you have to talk about these sort of issues?
Responsibility in the sense of, like, it's my journey, and I'm going to be proud to say, like, this is how I evolved from where I was to now where I am now. And I believe that if I speak, I've seen it already, right? So with the YouTube channel and the podcast and stuff, when I talk about these things, I had people from India message me saying, like, we never thought we could talk about it. And now we're actually having the discussion with each other while we're watching your videos. And that made me cry a lot, man. Like, it really hit me where I live, because I was like, wow, like, that's the impact that I want to have. So it's a responsibility that I choose to take on. Not just as like someone who's putting content out, but I look at the responsibility I have here, like, I have the greater good in mind for people when maybe they don't even have it in mind for themselves. So that's something that I choose to take on.
You mentioned a lot like weed and drinking and things like that. Would you say you had like an addiction or have a personality, or just going through some stuff?
I have a very addictive personality, bro. I used to smoke like 40, 50, 60 cigarettes a day sometimes. And you know, like, let's say, like, okay, so you go to music studios sometimes, right? Everyone smokes a bit, whatever. If you're smoking a cigarette, generally they'd ask you to go outside. If you're smoking weed, you'll be all right inside.
Yeah.
If someone goes...
That's actually the rule of studios.
If someone goes outside for a cigarette, they'll probably have one or two, right? I'll smoke my whole deck of 10 or 50 or 20 in that time of, like, when someone smoked 2 or 3.
Right.
I would have just... Yeah, because I was addicted to distraction. I was never addicted to the substance itself. I was addicted to constantly occupying my brain or my hands or my eyes or my senses. And I love smoking, bro. Like, when I walk past people who smoke cigarettes, I'm like, oh my God. And I still love it to this day, bro. That's why I know I can never smoke another cigarette again in my life. Because if I pick up one, I'm going to do the whole deck. I'm all or nothing. So that was for cigarettes. It was just like, in the beginning I smoked because I thought like everyone else was doing it around me, so I was like, yeah, fuck it, why not, I'll try it. And I liked the feeling, I liked the smell, I liked the taste, and I liked a little bit of it, and I grew to love it. And I used to smoke B&H Golds, like 15-20 of them would be gone in the space of like under an hour. Most of the time, yeah. And all I'd be doing is like drinking and smoking. And the addiction thing, I mean, the only thing I can say I was mentally addicted to was weed. And I don't say physically because I don't believe it's physically addictive, but I would feel sick if I hadn't smoked. And like, anytime someone would be smoking weed, or I knew someone had weed on them, I would be like really on edge about it. Mm-hmm. And like, I was a dick. Like, people would say, can I smoke some of your joint? And I would smoke the whole thing myself. But if they had weed, I'd ask them, can I have some of yours? And I would always have weed on me, and I would always have a joint rolled. Anytime you see me, I would have something in my mouth that I was smoking or ready to smoke, or a lighter that I was playing with. I never wanted to be alone with the thoughts in my head. I never was comfortable being alone. So I used to hang around people I didn't like just so that I didn't have to be alone. And my drinking got worse when I went to university. Like, I was never been a big drinker before that. I drank once when I was like 16, and I hated it. I puked, I was passed out, and I was just like, oh, this is not for me. But when I went to uni, everyone was doing it, and I used to get blackout drunk every single time I did it without fail. And mostly drinking on an empty stomach. And I didn't realize at the time, but it was like, yeah, just subconsciously, I was trying to hurt myself a lot because I didn't like myself and I didn't want to be alive.
Why didn't you like yourself? You've said that before. Why didn't you like yourself?
Because I knew I was living a lie. I was trying to be this idea of what I thought Indian kid should be. according to what other people were doing, according to what culture dictated, according to music, society in general. And I didn't like it, but I kept choosing to do it. So when I looked in the mirror, I was like, fuck you.
How long were you say living like that for?
22 years. And then I met, like 21 years. And then I met this angel when I was at university, man. Shout out to you, you know who you are.
Okay.
Yeah, she changed my life, man. And I'm probably going to start crying about it. But
How did she change your life, bro?
basically, I met her after this. I had a really abusive relationship with this other Asian girl. When I went to university, I met her in my first year. I was a virgin when I met her, and she was a lot more experienced than me, and she was manipulating me with sex. So, just like continual knocked my confidence until there was nothing left. Told you about some of the weird sexual stuff that was going on, and everything broke off before my final year of uni. But she kept trying to get back in my life, and I was trying not to let it happen. Then I met this girl, she's Greek, and she was a couple of years older than me. And like in the beginning, we didn't really know each other. We just kind of liked the way each other looked, I guess. And the more time I spent with her, she just introduced me to ideas, like without even saying it sometimes. Like she would say to me, I want to spend time with you. And I'd never had that from anyone. And I was like, why? And she was like, 'cause you're cool. I like spending time with you. And I was like, huh? It's not an obligation for you. Like what? Like you're not complaining about the fact that like you're not making me feel like you have to, and you're not making me feel like you're embarrassed to be around me. You're not making me feel like it's bad to be skinny around other. You're not pointing out other guys saying you should do steroids so you can look like that. Like
Is that what your ex was doing?
yeah, she would act like there was a lot of stuff that she was actively saying, and in the Indian community as well, it's like a big thing that you should be big because that's what men are supposed to look like, and don't cry and don't talk about your feelings, and you should drink because if you don't drink, then you're not a man or you're a Muslim. And if you're a Muslim around these people, like that's a big problem.
I didn't know it was like that, man.
Yeah, man. Like Sikh culture, Hindu culture, there's like this thing about being anti everyone. Like Russell Peters makes this joke. He's like, racists hate other people, Indians hate each other. And it's really funny because it is like that. Like if you're not okay, so it's like if you're not Sikh or Hindu, then yeah, we don't like you. If you are Sikh or Hindu, then you're one of the two, okay? And if you're not one of those two, then it's a caste thing. And if you are one of the caste, then it's a village thing. And if it's a village thing, then it's down to the physical attributes.
That's
like
a lot of pressure, though. Really, that's a lot of pressure to do.
Fierce competition, bro.
Where do you think that stems from?
Scarcity mindset of like nothing's ever good enough. We just want more and more and more, and we need to feel superior because we know that deep down we're not doing what we truly love to do. And I don't know if it's come from colonization. I can't put us in that box because I wasn't there, so I don't know. But I've heard people say like, yeah, when this European invasion happened, it introduced wealth, in material wealth, ideas to that place. But I think that's a cop-out, to be honest, man. And even if it's not, let's take responsibility for the fact that it's happening now.
Okay, I feel you. You touched on something earlier that I'm not sure whether you want to keep talking about it. There was just something I didn't ask you on it. It was your whole parenting thing. Are you going to have children?
Maybe. I mean, at the moment, I think in my mid-30s, that's ideally when I would like to. Maybe when I'm like 33, 35. It just depends really, man. Like, I try not to plan too much into the future.
Are you fearful of children or having children?
I used to be really scared.
Did you?
I used to be terrified because I was like, oh my God, man, I have so many bullshit insecurities and problems. I don't want to project that onto my kids. Yeah. But then I just thought about it. I was like, I'm doing so much work on myself. I'm so much better than I used to be in loads of things. And, I look at the way I interact with kids now that I don't even know, or like friends' kids or whatever. They're cool. Like, they tell you how it is. I thought I was real. Like, they don't have no filter. So, have you ever heard the rapper Kevin Gates?
Yeah.
His kids are like articulate as hell at like 5 years old. And I thought to myself, like, at that age, I was very articulate until a lot of these things started fucking with my head.
Yeah.
So imagine if I have kids and I bring them into the world without those limitations, like they could go on to do crazy epic things that they are happy and passionate about. And if I've created the wealth that I desire to give them, they got a springboard to do massive things. So I guess I'm not fearful for them anymore. I'm just fearful for myself. Like, yeah, it's just a weird thing. Like, I thought it was kind of selfish in the beginning. Like, there's loads of unadopted children out there. But at the same time, I have this thing about legacy, like carrying on my grandfather's legacy. It's a romantic idea. So I'm kind of in two minds about it. For right now, I'm 26 years young. I'm old in a young body, as I call it. As I get older, it's becoming more realistic for me to think about it.